It started as a joke, one of those casual, harmless lines you throw out to fill silence. But sometimes, life listens to your jokes and decides to take them seriously. That's exactly what happened the day I told her, "You should move in with me." I said it with a smile, half laughing, half hoping, never expecting that the next morning she'd show up at my door with a small suitcase and eyes full of quiet storms. "Hope there's room," she whispered, and in that moment, I realized she wasn't looking for a place to stay. She was looking for a place to heal. Before we dive in, if you believe in kindness, second chances, and the power of unexpected love, please take a moment to like this video, share it with someone who needs hope, and subscribe to the channel for more heart-touching stories like this one. When I first met Mia, she was the kind of person who could make an entire room brighter without saying a word. She had this unassuming warmth, the kind that made people trust her instantly. I met her at the coffee shop near my apartment, the one where I spent most mornings before heading to my dull office job. She was new there, wearing an apron slightly too big for her, and a smile slightly too forced. She always looked like she was trying to hold herself together, like every movement was practiced, every smile rehearsed. I noticed small things, how she'd flinch when someone raised their voice, how she never made eye contact for too long, and how she always looked relieved when the shift ended. I didn't know her story, but I knew pain when I saw it. I'd been there myself once, lost, trying to rebuild from the pieces someone else had shattered. So I did the only thing I knew how to do. I started talking to her. Simple things at first. "How's your day?" "Coffee's good today." "You look tired, long shift?" Each question chipped away at her walls, until one day, she laughed. A small, real laugh that caught me off guard. It was the kind of sound that reminded you people could heal. Over weeks, our morning chats became routine. I learned that she'd moved to the city a few months ago, leaving behind a relationship that had taken more from her than she realized. She spoke about it rarely, but when she did, her voice carried the kind of exhaustion only heartbreak could teach. Her ex wasn't cruel in obvious ways, not fists or screaming, but in the quiet ways that eat at your soul: constant criticism, isolation, emotional manipulation. "He made me feel small," she said once, stirring her coffee, "like I wasn't enough for anything or anyone." I didn't push. I just listened. And sometimes that was enough. Then came the night that changed everything. It was raining hard, the kind of rain that makes the city look like it's crying with you. I was home alone, scrolling through emails I didn't care about when my phone buzzed. It was Mia. "Can I come over?" That was all she said. Something in the message felt urgent. I told her yes immediately. When she arrived, her clothes were soaked, her hands trembling. I didn't ask what happened. I just wrapped her in a blanket and made tea. She sat on my couch, silent for a long time, before whispering, "He found me." Her ex had shown up at her new apartment, yelling through the door, reminding her that she'd never make it without him. She didn't let him in, but the fear had already done its damage. I could see it in her eyes. The panic, the exhaustion, the need to just breathe somewhere safe. And in that moment, trying to lighten the mood, I said it. The words that would soon change everything. "You should move in with me." I said it jokingly, hoping to make her smile. She did, faintly. But her eyes told me she was thinking about it more seriously than I'd intended. The next morning, a soft knock woke me up. When I opened the door, there she was, small suitcase in hand, eyes still red but hopeful. "Hope there's room," she said, her voice trembling just enough to break me. I stepped aside and smiled. There's always room. The first few weeks were quiet. She was careful, always asking if she was in the way, always apologizing for the smallest things. But the apartment began to change. Where once there was silence, there was now laughter, the smell of her cooking, the faint hum of her singing when she thought I wasn't listening. It was strange how someone could bring life into a place that had long forgotten what warmth felt like. I'd been living like a ghost before her, going through motions, existing but not living. She changed that. Slowly, we built a routine together. I'd leave for work early. She'd head to the coffee shop for her shift. Sometimes I'd stop by just to see her smile from behind the counter. We'd share dinners at night, watch old movies, talk about dreams we were too afraid to chase. And yet, beneath her growing laughter, I could still sense her fear. Sometimes she'd wake up from nightmares, gasping, trembling, whispering apologies to no one. I'd sit beside her until she fell asleep again, promising silently that I'd never let her feel alone like that again. One evening, about 2 months after she moved in, she found an envelope slipped under our door. There was no name, but I knew before opening it who it was from. Inside was a photo of her, taken from outside our window. My blood ran cold. I called the police, filed a report, changed the locks, even installed a camera, but nothing prepared me for what came next. A few nights later, I found her standing on the balcony, shaking. "He called me," she said. "He said he knows where I live now, that he'll come get me." Her voice broke. I saw the fear in her eyes, the same fear that had once defined her life, threatening to pull her back in. I took her hands and told her, "You're not alone anymore, Mia. He doesn't get to control your story now." What followed was a blur. Legal paperwork, restraining orders, police visits. It was messy, draining, and terrifying at times. But she fought. For the first time, she fought back. There were days when she cried, when she wanted to give up. But every morning she woke up determined to keep going. I watched her transform from a woman running from her past into someone reclaiming her future. And in the process, I realized how much she'd changed me too. Love didn't arrive suddenly. It crept in quietly, hidden between shared breakfasts and late-night talks. It wasn't the kind of love that burns. It was the kind that heals. One day I came home to find her painting in the living room. The walls that had once been gray were now bright with colors, laughter, and hope. She turned to me and said, "I feel safe here." I didn't know how to respond, so I just said, "I'm glad." But inside, I was overwhelmed, because somewhere along the way her safety had become my purpose. Months passed, and life began to settle. The nightmares faded. The police finally caught her ex after he violated the restraining order. Justice wasn't perfect, but it was enough. Mia started volunteering at a shelter for women who had been through similar things. "If I survived, maybe I can help someone else survive too," she said. I'd never seen her so alive. Then one day, she surprised me. I came home from work to find a small box on the table with my name on it. Inside was a key, the spare key to our apartment. "It's yours," she said. "Not because you saved me, but because we built this together." I stood there, speechless, realizing how far we'd come, from a joke to a shared life, from broken pieces to something whole again. If this story has touched your heart so far, please take a moment to like this video, share it with someone who believes in love and healing, and subscribe to our channel for more stories that remind us of the goodness still left in this world. A year later, we stood on that same balcony where she once trembled in fear, but this time she was smiling at the sunset, her hand in mine. "Do you ever think about how it all started?" she asked softly. I laughed. "You mean the joke that wasn't supposed to change our lives?" She nodded. Funny how sometimes the things we say without thinking are exactly what we need. Life has a strange way of turning pain into purpose. What began as an act of kindness turned into something neither of us expected. A bond built on understanding, patience, and the courage to begin again. Mia's laughter now filled the home every morning, her warmth the heartbeat of the space we shared. And every time she looked at me, I saw not the girl who showed up scared and broken, but the woman who had rebuilt herself from the ashes. So when people ask me if I believe in miracles, I think of her. Not the kind that fall from the sky, but the kind that walk into your life quietly, carrying a suitcase, whispering, "Hope there's room." Because sometimes, love doesn't come to rescue you. It comes to remind you that you were never beyond saving. If this story made you feel something, hope, warmth, or maybe even tears, please let us know in the comments below. Tell us your thoughts, your experiences, or simply type "There's always room" to show that kindness and love still matter in this world. And as the sun set that evening, painting our little apartment in gold, I realized something beautiful. Sometimes, the jokes we make in passing aren't jokes at all. They're destiny, waiting patiently for the courage to step through the door.